Online.com. It is 2 minutes past 4 o'clock. You are tuned to 96.3 FM, WLCN. It is time for the 4 p.m. 411. My name is Loyd Kirby. I'm the marketing manager here at WLCN, and you're too young to remember this, but when David Letterman had his show on NBC, the late night show, he would do viewer mail, and there was one segment where a listener or a viewer wrote in and said, Dave, if you ever get in a pinch and you don't have a guest, what do you do? And he said, well, that's very interesting. And he walked backstage, and there were like Larry Bud Millman, who was a recurring character, and sportscaster Marv Albert were hanging up on meat hooks. Said, in case of emergency, break glass. You could pull one of them out and be the guest. So we don't have to keep you behind glass, but we're glad you're here nonetheless. You're sort of our go-to emergency person. So we have Julianna Nordman from Nordman. Just butcher your name here.
That's okay.
From the Atlanta Public Library Program Director / Museum Director.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I also am not kept on a meat hook either.
Right.
I'm not just not behind glass. I'm not on a meat hook.
Okay.
I promise.
Okay.
Not weird like that.
All right, very good. So Museum Director, Program Director, 2 titles, so you get paid twice as much. Is that accurate?
Unfortunately, no.
It's nice to dream.
Yeah, honestly, that would be a great dream of mine to do that. But no, I do not. So I just kind of work both jobs, and it just kind of depends on the season. Mm-hmm. So the museum, I'm more focused on during the off season. So that would be October to right about now, February, March, even into April. And then during the summer and Halloween, and we come up again with Christmas and stuff like that. That's when I am focusing on my programs and stuff like that. So it just kind of ends up me being busy all the time.
Okay. And once again, she's with the Atlanta Public Library and Museum. If you have questions of Julianna, 217-648-5510, the number to call. Or you can shoot us an email at 4pm411@wlcnonline.com. And as you mentioned, you do have sort of your season of, I guess, more administrative types of work, and then your seasons of programming. With the weather turning to spring, I'm guessing we're about ready for the season of programming.
Yes. So I also like to plan all of our events and everything around kind of school as well, because I can't plan things for kids and expect them to be there if they have something going on for school. So our first kind of thing is spring break. So that's the last weekend in March this year. So it's the 27th to the 31st. Every single day from 1 to 5 p.m. We're going to have some different crafts out. We'll have our arcade on, and just kind of welcome the kids, give them something to do during that time. I'm hoping if we have good weather, maybe we'll do something outside. Right now, the weather's looking to be 50s and rainy, but it's also, a couple weeks away. So weather can change, and even the day of, weather changes.
Absolutely.
So we're not really sure yet, but exactly what we're going to do, but it'll be super fun. So.
Okay. And what is there a particular age group that your activities are directed toward? So
really, any ages can come. If you are younger, we obviously need you to come with a parent. So we have an unattended child policy, so that essentially means under a certain age you can't be there alone without a parent, and then over a certain age you're allowed to be, but we still need a contact information for your parent. Just because at the end of the day we also need to keep you safe. So if the kids we don't have parents, then how can we keep our kiddos safe?
Right, exactly. And another question popped into my mind as you were talking there, and it was, I don't know, it's gone now. I'll think of it when we're talking about something else.
Yeah.
So with, I know what it was. Some of the programs I know in the past, like the past spring break, you've had things where they've been sort of a more general nature, and then there have been other activities that have been more geared toward, I don't know, teenagers or older children. Are you looking at doing that kind of thing again? Or?
So for one of the events, I actually just found this idea. I'd never seen it before, but it's very interesting. Is you take some like cork bulletin board, and then you like tape it off in a weird design or whatever, and then you paint it, and then you let it dry, you remove the tape, and then you have your own painted bulletin board kind of thing.
Oh.
So I think that's a great activity because it allows kids to be creative, and the older kids can do very intricate details with tape or freehand paint or whatever, versus the younger kids can do something a little bit more abstract, a little bit more lots of colors, a little bit more color mixing, kind of stuff like that. So that's kind of our goal with our programming. We've taken some time off, and we want to make it more inclusive to everyone, that able from 5 and maybe even 4, depending on the child, all the way until the teenagers can enjoy our programs, because there's lots of kids here in town.
Sure.
So it's our job to make sure that all kids are having a good time.
And as far as participation goes, do the children who participate, must they be residents of Atlanta? Must they have a family member who's a library card holder, anything like that?
Nothing like that. We have kids that actually regularly come from Bloomington.
Oh, wow.
We have a family that regularly comes from Lincoln. We don't require any of that. Of course, most of our kids are from Atlanta because they're in the area and it's just easy for them to come up. But we don't care if you're from Timbuktu. It doesn't matter. A kid is a kid, and a kid deserves to have fun. So we even get, last year, or maybe even 2 years ago at this point, we had a family that was a tourist that came in town and was here for Route 66 stuff. And they were like, can my kid participate? And I'm like, sure, we have extra supplies. Come on in. Like, that's our job, is all kids should have fun.
Very good. And you do these activities during spring break, but it's not just during spring break when you have activities for kids. I've been looking on, can't remember if it was Facebook or if it was meeting minutes from some different organizations. I see where you've been partnering with Olympia South School on doing some activities with them as well.
Yes. So we did family reading night a few months ago. So we partnered with them for that. We've partnered with them in the past on some other things. We're regularly in contact with members of the PTO to hand out our advice for them, and kind of other stuff like that. We believe, and we did young authors too. We believe, obviously, the kids need an education and need somewhere to go other than school during the school year and during the summer. So an obvious partnership between the school and the library, I mean, it works out. We have the school in town. Atlanta's lucky because McLean and Waynesville and other places like that don't have a school there.
Right.
So we're the lucky ones. We get to have that partnership and that relationship with them.
All right, very cool. Our guest is Julianna Nordman. I said it right that time. She's the program and museum manager at the Atlanta Public Library and Museum. If you have questions or comments, 217-648-5510. We're going to talk for another 20 minutes or so about some of the upcoming events and programs, and take a peek behind the curtain at exactly what you do as the program/museum director. But first, we're going to take a break for a couple minutes. Program reminder, tomorrow on Viewpoint from 8:15 to 9 a.m., host Bill Gossett will have Sheriff Mark Landers as well as Lincoln Police Chief Joseph Meister. They are the scheduled guests. Once again, that's tomorrow morning, 8:15 to 9 a.m., but we will be back in 2 minutes with Julianna Nordman and information about the Atlanta Public Library and Museum. And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411. Our guest, Julianna Nordman, the program manager and museum manager at the Atlanta Public Library and Museum. And she is with us until 4:30. If you have questions or comments or would like to know more about some of the offerings the museum and or library will be having during this programming season coming up, 217-648-5510, or send us an email at 4pm411 at wlcnonline.com. Before the break, we were kind of talking about some of the programming in general. Do you have some specific things coming up that you want to get a plug in for?
So obviously we were talking about spring break, so that's the soonest thing. But kind of to dial back, right now we have it's kind of a program. It's called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. And so what that is geared for our preschoolers and even babies that are wanting to start that process of reading 1,000 books before kindergarten. So it sounds kind of simple, but it's not. If you think, like a book a day, that's only 365 in a year. Right. So you're looking at 3 years of that or so. My coworker, she's my co-director, Christina. She is kind of made this program. So you can call her. You can talk more details about that. Our phone number is 217-648-2112. Okay. She has a ton of information. You can call. You can sign your kid up. Essentially, you guys get logs. There's prizes after a certain amount of books. I know you get free ice cream after a certain number. I can't remember that number off the top of my head, but free ice cream is always great.
Yeah, absolutely.
From Dairy Queen. So we love our free ice cream. Sure. But yeah, so absolutely reach out to her if that's something that you guys are interested in. It will be super fun. There's going to be like a wall of fame for all of the kids that get put up there. You can join anytime. So even if you have a 1-year-old right now, you can join. You got a couple years to get there. Right. Or if you have a 4-year-old that really loves to read, let's crank those out before kindergarten hits. Sure. Yeah. So just call us, sign your kids up, and it'll be super fun. Okay. So all kinds of programs will be happening, things going on now as well. There was, you mentioned the free ice cream from the Dairy Queen. I know last year you had, there were some grants that you had written applications for, and those were helping support some of your programming. Did you get as lucky to be selected for grants this year, or are you still in the process of finding out? We haven't written any grants specifically for programming yet this year. It kind of, we've had a lot going on, just between getting our museum back up and running, getting program up and running. Now we only have 3 employees. We used to have much more than that, but there's only 3 of us, and we're all 3 part-time. So we haven't been applying for programming grants. However, our library was lucky to receive a grant from the Route 66 Byway to get a new oh my gosh, I can't remember the word, the thing that goes over the sidewalk for like a business on the streets.
Like a canopy?
Sort of like that. I literally cannot remember the name.
Overhang?
Yeah. It's
a covering of some kind.
It's for the palms. If you drive by the palms, you'll know exactly what I mean. I am so sorry. I'm totally spacing. But so Christina applied for that, and we did get that grant. So we were very lucky to receive that. She has applied for a few others that unfortunately we did not get, but that's just what happens. Sure. We can't plan on getting everything. Christina did also get another grant that we are working on expanding our books. We have a new thing called Playways. They are essentially almost like an MP3 player, old kind of thing, and all it has on there is an audiobook. Oh. So you just need a pair of headphones, and you can check that out, plug the headphones in, and you have the audiobook with you on the go. So you can plug it into an aux cable in your car. You can just listen with headphones, kind of whatever is up to you. They're really, really cool. We only have a few out, but I highly encourage you guys to go check them out because I love them. I love audiobooks. Yeah, and I've been finding more as I've been driving I've been more into podcasts and more into audiobooks, and been thinking of some titles I want to look for. So there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
talking about audiobooks, we spoke last time you were here, and as well as Christina, that sort of the traditional stereotype, I guess, of the library, and you go in and it's this warehouse of books and that's all it is.
Yeah.
That is no more. That stereotype is no more. You have so much more that you're offering in addition to the programming, but other, the technology with the audiobooks and other services and things you can offer patrons as well. Can you kind of highlight some of those things that you have?
So what's really cool is Christina was just looking into this, that I think a lot of people don't realize what comes with a library card. So we have Overdrive by Libby. So that is a ton of audiobooks right from your phone. I have the app. Okay. It's great. If you have a library card, you're automatically signed up for that. Nice. Access 360 at the same thing. We have Hoopla, which is not just audiobooks, but also movies, CDs, regular books, all kinds of stuff like that. You get a certain borrows per month. And sometimes they have months that have unlimited borrows, so you can get like 10 to 15 books all in 1 month.
Oh, wow.
Those three come with your library card no matter what. And then also there's a bunch of free things that people tend to forget. So even we forget about them. You can get free museum passes to museums in the state of Illinois just by having a library card with us. So I'm talking like the big ones, like Brookfield Zoo, the Shed Aquarium, stuff like that. So that kind of can come with a library card as well. So our library is definitely, and a library card is more than just being able to check out books when you want, but we also have a huge collection of DVDs. Like I said, the playaways, we have audiobooks, we have all of that comes just in our building. So we have a great area for kids to play. We have a Lego table, we have coloring stuff downstairs, we have a tent kids can play in, all that kind of stuff. And it's, people tend to not utilize it, but always come on by. We always love seeing kids.
And if people are interested in obtaining a library card, what is there a fee for that, and what is the process for applying for one?
So our library is special. We have we're a library district, so that means that the people that automatically get a card for free is much larger. So we actually can even reach out to people in Eminence Township that are able to obtain a card, and anyone with an Atlanta, Illinois address can also get a card for free. If you are not within our district, it is only $50 for a card, which I know that seems like a lot, but if you go in and you check out about 5 books that you already are paying for that $50, you already save that money. So I highly recommend it. You just need to go in to the library with proof of your address, so that can be an ID. If you haven't changed your ID address, if you're newly in town, that can be a utility bill, just anything where it says who you are and where you live, and that's enough.
All right, so $50 a year, I mean, if you break that down, that's $4 a month. I mean, if you just give up a Frappuccino or something one day and you're good to go.
It's just almost like a streaming service, right? It's just another subscription that you have to pay.
Exactly. So we're just past 20 minutes past the hour, so we'll go ahead and take our second break, and we will have more with Julianna Nordman. Darn it. We will be back with her right after this.
If you're an ally of this community, speak out. There are more of us together than apart, and so they need you to stand with them.
And we are back on the 4 p.m. 411 with Julianna Nordman. Finally got it. She is with the Atlanta Public Library and Museum District, and we've been talking about a lot of things, programs and library cards and things from the past year. You mentioned to me that you've been working on this coming season's programming schedule. So are there any upcoming, obviously you've got things coming up in addition to spring break, but is there anything in particular you want to highlight or mention, start getting the word out about that you will be offering on the, what did you say your season runs? Is it pretty much through October?
It's, basically our busiest 2 months of the year are going to be our busiest months of the year are June and July and October and then December. Okay. So Atlanta, in our experience, loves Halloween. Mm-hmm. We love Halloween. So that's where we do a big bulk of programming. Right.
You have the 13 nights of Halloween?
Yes. Okay. And then this past year we didn't do Christmas, but the year before we did a big thing for Christmas. That's our plan to do it again this year as well. And then we are also kind of leaning into some of the stuff that we received. So we were talking about grants earlier. Mm-hmm. We were very lucky to receive our $10,000 grant. We had tons of stuff going on this past summer, trying to spend all that money before our deadline. Right. So that's the last time we were on was when we had that interview with Caitlin Abrams for the TikToker. She took up a large chunk of that money too, but we were very lucky to spend just about $3,000 or so on supplies for cooking. So we had our cooking classes last year. I remember that. So starting in April, every other Monday we are going to have a cooking class. The recipes aren't really picked yet. I'm going to hopefully be reaching out to some people, some friends that I have, even reaching out to ISU and seeing if I can get some students up here to teach for free, give them kind of experience, give them kind of a reference, stuff like that. So that way it's not all on me or Christina or our friends. Sure.
And last year, before we move off of that, last year I think you had a different nationality or different, I'm not sure, indigenous to a different country for each night. Yes,
different culture.
Different culture, that's the word I'm looking for. Is that the game plan this time? Or So
obviously we want to do some recipes that are different rather than just teaching people how to make a typical dish. Right. But at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have to be. So with that grant that was written, how I wrote it was that we did, it was all for humanities programming. So with that came with the idea of us wanting to share different cultures with the community. Atlanta, directly center Midwest. There's not a ton of cultures around here, so that's why we were planning on sharing. But this time around, we're not necessarily focusing on that, but I'm sure that that's going to happen. Like I said, we haven't really picked the recipes yet. But then also in April, so this goes from April to September. Also in April, every other Wednesday, we are also going to do movie nights, regular movie nights. Cool. In the past, we've loved movie nights. Our kids have loved movie nights. Just kind of come out and have a family-friendly time. We bought a popcorn maker, so now we're excited about that too. So we can regularly give popcorn. So that'll be every other Wednesday as well, starting from April to September. Kind of giving people some things to look forward to. Sure. This past year, we didn't do anything for Easter, but this year, we kind of heard our patrons. There is the park does an Easter egg hunt. However, there is an age limit on that. I totally get it. You don't want all of the other kids to push the younger kids down. Sure. In my past job, what we did was we geared, instead of putting an age limit on it, we made different colored eggs for different ages. So if you found a purple egg and those were for kindergartners, but you're in 5th grade, then you have to leave it alone. You can't take that egg. And then it also gives us the ability to hide eggs in harder to reach places for our older kids and for adults.
Sure.
So we are going to do an Easter egg hunt this year. It is going to be the day before Easter, so that will be April 8th, and we're going to do it in the afternoon, so that way we don't coincide with the one that the park puts on. So that way it'll be 2 Easter egg hunts for the little ones, and it'll be super fun for our older ones, so that way they don't feel like they've really grown out of it.
Right.
So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you sort of heard your citizens as far as the Easter egg hunt thing goes. As far as your programming in general goes, how do you get your ideas for your program? Do they come from suggestions from the public, or do you kind of see, I don't know, something on maybe a library network site that, hey, we're offering this program, and sort of get ideas that way?
So
or how does that work?
It's kind of all of the above. We are wanting to we like to listen, like I said, to our patrons. Obviously, if the patrons don't want to come to the program, then they won't.
Right.
But we like to kind of gear it towards as many people as possible. So like you said, there are some library Facebook groups that Christina and I are a part of that we do get some of our ideas from. Some of it is just from my experience working with kids. Pinterest is a great resource. Some of it is just Christina and I kind of brainstorming, coming up with ideas. We went on a drive one day. I don't remember. We ended up in Decatur. It was very weird.
Oh.
We went down to Springfield, and then we ended up in Decatur.
Okay.
And we were gone for most of the afternoon that day, and we planned our entire Halloween last year in a day, just because we were sitting like, oh, what about this? Oh, what about this? This is a cool idea I saw. How can we adapt that for our patrons? Kind of stuff like that. So it is sometimes suggestions from the public. I know that the cooking classes were really wanted here. They were tried in the past, and it just wasn't, we didn't have the funding to make it successful.
Right.
But then we got that grant, so it ended up working out. So it's kind of, we like to listen. We like to, we also tend to take verbal surveys, like, what would you like to see? What would you like to participate in? And kind of stuff like that.
Okay. So, wow, we are done, actually. So any other programs or anything you want to plug before we step away?
No, check us out on Facebook. Check us out on our website. All of the programs I've mentioned will be on our website and hopefully on Facebook by the end of today, if not later this week. We're very excited to come back. Full swing.
Very good. So our guest has been Julianna Nordman from the Atlanta Public Library and Museum District. Once again, if folks have questions, what was the phone number there?
217-648-2112.
Okay. And the website address?
The website is atlantapld.org, I believe. If you look up Atlanta Library, we actually come up before Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, wow.
So,
look at you.
Yeah, I know. So if you just Google us, you'll find us there.
Okay. Very good. So once again, thanks for being with us. And once again, tomorrow on Viewpoint, Sheriff Mark Landers and Lincoln Police Chief Joseph Meister are the scheduled guests. That's from 8:15 to 9 a.m. with Bill Gossett. In the meantime, this has been Viewpoint with our guest Julianna Nordman and Loyd Kirby. Thank you for listening. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.